Hi, I'm Mary Marotta. I'm with the Leominster Historical Society. The Historical Society is on 17 School Street in Leominster. We're open on Tuesday mornings from 9 to 12 and from Saturday mornings from 9 to 12, or you can contact us and make an appointment to come in. Come on into the Historical Society. Welcome. Welcome to this month in Leominster history, the June episode. My name's Mary Marotta. I'm an executive director with the Leominster Historical Society, and here we are today filming at the Leominster Historical Society. I want to introduce the co-host of my show, Ron Girouard.
Oh, thank you, Mary, for that. And my name is Ron Girouard from the Leominster Historical Commission. I just want to let everybody know it's been an absolutely pleasure working with Mary from the Leominster Historical Society. We've been getting an awful lot of positive response out there, people really enjoying our shows, and this month is going to be no exception. In fact, you're going to find this month's calendar show, June, we went out on location, Mary, on a lot of locations, and people are going to be very pleasantly surprised when they come up to the calendar dates and they're looking at actual video of what Leominster looks like today, especially for the Leominster residents who no longer live in Leominster. And even the ones that live in Leominster, there's a lot of locations that you and I went out on this past month that we didn't even know they were there, right, Mary?
We had some interesting adventures and some discoveries this month.
So sit back and relax. Put on your favorite pair of pajamas, enjoy your favorite cup of joe, and away we go, Mary.
All right.
And so I'm going to start the first calendar date. June 1st, 1879, May A. Gallagher is born. She was a Leominster educator and a principal of the junior high school. Mary?
We went to the Gallagher building and took a small video while we were there.
And coming up on the timeline, you're going to see that video with Mary narrating a little bit of history about May A. Gallagher. Mary, thank you for that.
June 1st, 1879, May A. Gallagher is born. She was a Leominster educator and the principal of the junior high school from 1928 until 1949. The Gallagher building is named after May Gallagher. June 1st, 1912, a memorial at the first burial site in Leominster, which is located at the corner of Main and Day Streets, is dedicated by the Leominster Historical Society.
Now, Mary, you had the opportunity to go up there this past week and look at that location and notice it was very busy on traffic and where the actual marker was.
I did.
Explain to the audience where that is. So they, I think it's by the Lady Lake Church, is that correct?
Actually, it's not. It's closer to the Johnny Appleseed School.
Okay.
And it is on a very busy intersection, and it's a very small stone hidden on the corner of the intersection. You have to be very careful if you get out to watch, to look at it, but I was fortunate that someone driving a truck stopped for me while I took a couple of pictures of it that we can show here.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mary.
This stone, erected by Leominster Historical Society, marks the site of the first burial ground in Leominster.
June 1st, 1963, the Johnny Appleseed Memorial Monument is dedicated on Johnny Appleseed Lane. Mary?
Well, that was a very important place because that was very close to the actual birthplace of John Chapman, wasn't it?
That's correct. And last year I went out there with the camera, my iPhone at the time. I didn't have a Leominster TV camera, and I narrated the entire area, showing what that particularly monument was like today. And Johnny Appleseed Lane, for those of you who might not be familiar with the where it is, it's right down, if you go down Mechanic Street, like you're going up towards Targets, it's right before the Satel Bridge, and there's a tank on your left, which is the Roberge Monument, and that's pretty an interesting place for you to visit as well, Mary.
It is. It's a great place. The Johnny Appleseed Monument is a great place to bring kids because it has a small replica of the kind of house that John Chapman might have grown up in.
Thank you for that, Mary. Hi, this is Ron Girouard. I'm a Leominster resident and volunteer member for the Leominster Historical Commission. I'm at the birth marker of John Chapman, or otherwise best known as Johnny Appleseed, and on Johnny Appleseed Road, right off of going up towards Grove Farm, or Go Farm. I'm just going to take a little video of this area in case anybody never been down this way. Might want to come check it out. It's a pretty cool landmark, replica house. It's pretty cool.
June 3rd, 1872, F.N. Bootwell publishes the first issue of the Leominster Enterprise newspaper.
Thank you for that, Mary. And I don't know about Mary, but I was a paper boy when I was a kid growing up, and I can remember grabbing papers from when that building is today. And the building is still there, but I believe the Department of Public Works is using that building, and the Allens, I believe, has some material in that building. And at a future date, we might go down there and film a little bit of that, but be that as it may, we do have some video coming up on the timeline of the paper press of the old Fitchburg Sentinel Enterprise when it was Leominster Enterprise at the particular time, coming up on the timeline later on in the show, so be watching for that, Mary. Okay.
Keep watching the show.
June 3rd, 1998, the Evelyn Hatching marker is dedicated on Pond Street, right off of Pond Court Street. Mary?
We had a little video when we found it. It's a little jewel of a garden.
Yes, we did, and we went up there and videotaped it for the overall to give you guys a idea what it looks like and where it is. But if you guys know where the Senior Citizen Center is, if you're going up towards Elm Street and towards Pond Street coming in from that way, it's over there on your left-hand side. If you're not looking for it, you're going to miss it. So just kind of look over to your left. Rockwell Roofing is right there, so you get an idea when you go visit it. If you wanted to visit it, it's got a bench up there, Mary, with the dedication bench.
It has a dedication bench, and it has a memorial tree that was grown for someone too. So there are 3 memorials in that small little park.
That's correct. Thank you, Mary.
Evelyn Hatchie was born in Montague, Mass. in 1916 and passed away in 2001. Evelyn worked tirelessly for her adopted city of Leominster. As chairman of the Leominster Historical Commission, she worked to have Monument Square Historical District added to the National Register of Historical Places. She was president of the Leominster Historical Society and co-chairman of Leominster's 250th Anniversary Committee, a member of the Bicentennial Commission, and a founding member of the National Plastics Museum. She was a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution, a Cub Scout den leader, a volunteer at the Leominster Public Library, and a member of the Leominster Hospital Guild. Many awards and honors were given to Evelyn Hatchie, including the Freedoms Foundation Award, an honorary degree from Fitchburg State College, and Leominster Citizen of the Year, Ron.
In addition to that, Mary, she was also a member of the Leominster Historical Commission and a member of the Leominster Historical Society.
That's right. Evelyn was also known as the Egg Lady.
Oh, really?
She was a talented artist. She created Easter eggs painted to look like people and shared them with women's groups, children, and at the library. Oh, good. I like this one.
Okay.
June 4th, 1940. The dedication of the marker memorializing James Gordon Carter, who was a famous Leominster educator in Massachusetts.
That's correct, Mary. And as I recall, you made a field trip to go actually find that marker to see where it was actually located. You went by it a half a dozen times before you actually found the marker.
I did. I took 3 trips to find it. I think maybe people were wondering why I was hanging around the high school. But I did walk down. I walked down to the gardener's spot, and then I walked all the way up past Helena Street.
Right.
And finally, I found a little stone well, and right next to it is this little stone marker, very nicely preserved.
June 4th, 1946, the Leominster School Committee suspends the married teachers rule for 1 full year, Mary.
Well, a lot of people don't know that in Massachusetts, for most of the time, Massachusetts has been a state that married women were not allowed to be teachers because people thought that married women ought to be taking care of their husbands and their children and their homes instead.
Oh, wow.
But at the end of the World War II, there was a scarcity of teachers. So then they were beginning to hire married teachers for the first time.
Yeah, and once again, I can't thank the teachers out there enough for your hard work and dedication. And Mary and I know that a lot of students, a lot of times, they come from hardship families, and there's a lot of projects out there that the teachers want the students to get involved with. And a lot of times, the money issue, the teachers put their own money in to help these students out, in which we can't thank you enough for that and for your years of dedication to your profession, Mary.
And we've had last couple of weeks, we've had some tours from some of the students from the schools around Leominster to come here to the Historical Society and the Historical Commission, and it's a pleasure to see the children, and it's wonderful how the teachers are doing such a great job.
Thank you for that, Mary.
June 4th, 2007, Monty's Garden closes after 74 years in business.
Thank you, Mary. And coming up on the timeline, we were fortunate enough through Leominster Access Television that they came across a film called 1938 Leominster. It happened in Leominster, but the film was filmed in 1938. And this videographer went into a lot of places in that video, and Monty's Gardens was one of them, and that's coming in on the timeline. According to that video, they references Monty Gardens opening in 1933, Mary. And it's pretty interesting looking at Monty's Gardens, what it was back then. And as a kid growing up, we often ate there at Monty's Gardens, and it was a marvelous place. And it was third or fourth generation run and up until the 2007 before they had closed down. But even today, a lot of people miss that place, and so do I, Mary.
Yeah, many people remember that it was at the location on Main Street where Walgreens is today.
Currently is today, that's correct, Mary. Thank you for that, Mary.
On November 22nd, 1933, Monty, realizing that Leominster needed a good place to dine and wine, opened Monty's Garden at 35 Central Street. Today, Monty is famous for the excellence of his food, and in just a few days, it will be its 6th anniversary. At the bar, where choice wines, liquors, and Harvard beer is featured, always busy, showing that people appreciate quality. Here's an appetizing scene, the huge refrigerator just crammed full with delicious foods and fruits. Hungry? Wait, you ain't seen nothing yet. In the spotless kitchen, we see why people come from miles around to enjoy the spaghetti, ravioli, chicken, steak, and seafood prepared by an Italian-born chef who is an artist. In the cozy booths, our friends enjoy the tasty food. And Monty's is a safe place to bring your wives and children and enjoy a happy, appetizing evening.
June 5th, 1939, Leominster announces that the number 6 school will close at the end of the year. Mary, do you want to add anything more to that?
I'd love to. The number 6 schoolhouse is a one-room schoolhouse that was originally built in 1851.
Oh.
I've always wanted to go inside, so we were able to go up. We were allowed to go inside and videotape inside. I got to sit at the desk. It's really a fascinating little place.
And Mary was while we were inside, she told the story of the number 6 schoolhouse, a little bit of history. Elaine Perot, a historian, owns the number 6 schoolhouse, her and her family, and she was gracious enough to open the doors to us and let us go in. And for those of you who might not know where the number 6 schoolhouse is, you'd be out going Pleasant Street, going up towards Shoalin Farms, and it's right over there on the right-hand side on the road. You really can't miss it. It's a little red schoolhouse. It's quite a fascinating and interesting place, and I highly recommend a visit when you get a chance, Mary.
It's run by the number 6 Community Center Incorporated, so they have events. And we greatly encourage everyone to get involved.
Okay, thank you for that, Mary. That's good.
June 5th, 1939, Leominster announces that the number 6 schoolhouse will close at the end of the year. The number 6 schoolhouse is a one-room schoolhouse that continues to function today as a community center. June 6th, 1935, Sergeant Alfred J. Houle is awarded the American Silver Star. He becomes the highest decorated World War I veteran in Leominster.
That's correct, Mary. And I just like to, since this weekend happens to be Memorial Day weekend, Mary and I went up to the Veterans Center Friday night, and they had the wreath dedication ceremony, and it was very touching and moving. And I just like to thank all our men and women and servicemen out there who serve our great country of ours. And we can never repay it. Our gratitude is Our hearts go out to all the ones who passed away and all the ones that are living, and thank you very much for your service, Mary.
Exactly. We have so much to be proud of in this
That's
town.
correct. June 8th, 1878, foundation started for the new Leominster Railroad Depot at Depot Square, Mary.
We went to Depot Square to visit the train station.
Yes, we did.
It was very exciting.
And coming in on a timeline, you're going to see some video of the Depot Square with a little bit of history that we had talked about while we were there, and you're going to find it pretty interesting. But you guys didn't know this, in 1992 there was a movie there called School Ties, and Ben Affleck was in that movie, Mary.
That bus depot stood in for the Scranton, Pennsylvania bus depot.
That's correct.
June 8th, 1878. The foundation was started for the new Leominster Railroad Depot at Depot Square. The train depot was used as the location for the Scranton, Pennsylvania bus station in the 1992 movie School Ties, starring Ben Affleck. This property has been placed on the National Register of Historic Places by the United States Department of the Interior. June 9, 1875. The New England Toy Company is founded by Seymour Lyman and William S. Reed.
Thank you, Mary, for that. And coming in on the timeline, we got some photographs of the design that used to go on these toys, and from the Percy Johnson collection, Mary.
Percy Johnson took some awesome photos of the pictures that would have gone onto the outside of the boxes. W.S. Reed went on to own his own toy company, the W.S. Reed Toy Company, and he became famous for rocking horses.
Is correct. Thank you, Mary. June 11th, 1947, Leominster native David Walsh dies. He served as Massachusetts governor and United States senator. Mary, did you want to add a little bit more to that before we...
He was one of the most famous people who ever lived in Leominster, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
June 12, 1954, Our Lady of the Lake Church is dedicated in North Leominster.
Thank you for that, Mary. And Mary, you had the opportunity to go down there this past week, and you talked to the priest over there, and you were fortunate enough to grab a lot of nice photographs. Tell the audience what it was like over there.
Well, I did get a chance to drive up to Our Lady of the Lake Church. I didn't talk to the priest, but I talked to the secretary and several other people who were there. I was fascinated by the grounds of the church. There's a wonderful grotto with a statue of the Virgin Mary. I spoke to the groundskeeper, and he showed me the statue of Saint Bernadette, who's yet to be installed in the grotto. I guess she gets to have her winters in the garage. There's also a park for Saint Titicaca, who is American Indian Catholic saint, and a beautiful statue of the Pieta, which we will show on one of our pictures.
June 12, 1937, Mayor Burdett and Frederick Perry opens Barrett Park for summer activity. Mary?
That was a long time ago, 1937. Some of our files talk about swimming at the pond there. They talk about ice skating. And one of our files talks about a huge toboggan run that was set up in the winter so that people could slide down the hill and across the lake.
That's correct. And my mom almost drowned in that pond back when she was a kid going swimming there in the summertime. And this past year I went over there and I grabbed some video of the ground itself there just to make it kind of interesting to see what it was like. Because I hadn't been up there in a long time. And it's quite a wonderful place to bring your kids. They do have picnic tables there. And we also were fortunate enough that Bradley from Leominster Access Television grabbed us some drone video for us. And it's all that's coming in on the timeline, Mary.
And it's a nice place to take a walk at lunchtime.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you. Just be careful of the tits.
June 13th, 1937. The last burial at Leominster's Pine Grove Cemetery, as Leominster historian Emma Moore has her funeral there.
Yeah, that's too sad, man.
We should do it again in a happier voice. Okay. I sounded too sad. June 13th, 1937. The last burial at Leominster's Pine Grove Cemetery, as Leominster historian Emma Moore has her funeral there.
That's correct, Mary, and thank you for that. Mary and I and my wife, we went down to that area and we looked for Emma Moore's gravestone. I couldn't find it at that particular day, but we're going to go back and take another look for it, see if we can find it, and at some point we'll take another video of it. June 13th, 2010. Leominster Veterans Memorial Circle is dedicated at Carter Park. Mary?
The Leominster Veterans Memorial Circle is very unique because it includes memorials to veterans from several wars, especially the more recent wars like Iraq, the Gulf War, the Korean War. And it's also a very beautiful place.
Yeah, and coming in on the timeline, I have a little video. I went up there this past month and I took a little, they call it B-roll video, just to show people what it's like today and what the overall park looks like today, Mary. Thank you for that, Mary.
Very good, Ron. June 16th, 1948. First band concert of the season at Carter Park.
That's correct, Mary. And I want to let everybody know that in the last couple of years, or the last 3 years, as a matter of fact, I've been involved with Leominster Access Television as a volunteer member. I've had the privilege of filming over 200 band concerts at Carter Park. And the Leominster Colonial Band concerts are the really marvelous concerts if you never had a chance to go down and see them. And they're starting up again this July. And they play a lot of great music, the big band music, and a lot of different melody and tunes. And I had gotten permission from John Music that they had put out a number of years ago to use it for my presentations. And on our slideshow for the month, I put all Colonial Band music in there, and it's really great. So I just wanted to thank John for that, and thank the Leominster Colonial Band for the marvelous music that they play. And Mary and I also went up to Carter Park, and we filmed a little bit around the park showing the gazebo that was there. Mary, thank you.
That's right.
16th, 1990, Leominster Vietnam Veterans Memorial was dedicated on the Common, Mary.
Well, this was 1990, so it reflects a great deal of the Vietnam veterans of Leominster.
Yeah, and that's correct. And once again, I'd like to thank the men and women out there who serve our great country of ours in the military and armed forces all over the world and the United States. And once again, thank you for your dedication, Mary.
June 21st, 2018. Central Park on the corner of Central and Lancaster Streets is dedicated to Alzheimer's awareness with a celebration and a ribbon cutting ceremony.
That's correct, Mary. And Mary and I had the opportunity to go down there last week and film a little bit of it. And I also have coming in on a timeline Bill Carter and Bob Cody cutting the ribbon cutting ceremony from last year that I had filmed. And just to show you guys where it is, if you guys are familiar with Leominster, Lancaster Street, if you're coming in from the town, from the West Street from the City Hall, it breaks like this, and you got Central Street here and Lancaster Street here, and then you have the former Dunkin' Donuts over there on the left. Now it's the Leominster Market, and the Central Park is right over there, and it's really a nice place, Mary. They did a really fabulous job putting that all together, Mary. It's
someplace you would miss if you blinked when you drove by.
Yeah, and Gary P. Furniture is on the right-hand side, so that's just an idea where that is.
Yep.
Mary. June 23rd, 1957, creation of the Pink Flamingo town ornament by Donald Featherstone of the Union Products Company. Mary, did you want to add anything to that?
I'd love to. It was really great to be able to go to Fitchburg to the Cato Company and speak with Claude Shack Delane there about how the pink plastic flamingos are made today.
Yeah, and that brought back a lot of memories for me because Mary and I had the opportunity to go downstairs into the molding room, and they were making I think it was the snowman.
There's a snowman hugging a penguin.
The snowman hugging a penguin. And I can remember making that snowman when I had worked at Union Products when it was on Lancaster Street.
When?
In the 1974, when I was 18 years old, when I first started working, I was working in the plastic shop. And the molding machine process, the blow molding, is done pretty much the same as in the 70s as it's done today. The process hadn't really changed. But Veronica, the young girl that was working there, she was really marvelous in pulling off the part out of the machine and trimming it and then putting it on the table. And then the scrap piece, they throw it in the grinder for reuse of the material.
Yeah.
And then she put it aside. And then and at some point when they have the order made, as they get like a box full of them, they paint the design on the product before they ship it out the door. And they found it pretty much interesting. And I wanted to thank Claude for showing us the property in Pink Flamingo. And he gets a lot of requests for showings for the Pink Flamingo, and one of them was ABC News wanted to come in here to do a story that he told us, and I can remember they wanted to be there for almost about 2 or 3 days, and he doesn't let everybody go to that place to actually go in and film, and we had the pleasure and the opportunity to go in there, and I wanted to thank Claude for that too, Mary.
We were really fortunate, and so we actually made a separate little TV show that you can watch on LTV.
And it's playing now, and I think it's a good gesture since it's already playing on TV. I'm going to upload it directly from my Facebook page when it comes close to this date, and so you can watch the video, because a lot of people don't know how to access it. Leominster Access Station, and I think they'd find it pretty much interesting, Mary.
Oh yeah, definitely make it available.
Thank you, Mary, for that.
Hi! Oh, thank you. How are you? Hi, my name is Mary.
Nice to meet you, Veronica.
Veronica?
Yeah.
This is Veronica. What is Veronica doing here?
I got it for the snowman. Maybe he's playing better, Loki.
What happens when the pipe comes out, there's excess plastic all around it. And that has to be trimmed off.
Yep. It's very hot. So she's wearing gloves.
Right. No flamingo.
Softening off the edges, making sure that there's no little sharp
out of the machine.
And the hole is still filled up too. How long does it take for it to come out of the machine? More than 2 minutes?
2 minutes, like.
2 minutes.
Not good.
Are we waiting for one?
We are.
We are? Here comes a new one. How many of these do you think you make every day? 220, 25. 220 or 25? These snowman penguin combinations here with the light inside.
That's it. 8 hours. 8 hours. Now, I'll look at the tape. That's a 1985. Everything's all good.
That's cool.
June 24th, 1903. Dedication of the Willard Memorial Fountain at Carter Park by the Women's Christian Temperance Union. Mary?
This was a real piece of history
That's correct.
to learn. The Women's Christian Temperance Union was around in the 1890s, and even in way back as 1874. The organizing committee of the WCTU, and included Frances Elizabeth Willard, so that's why it's a Willard Memorial Fountain, told all the women in the Women Christian Temperance Union that they should all build fountains in their towns so that men who were thirsty could get a drink of water without going into a saloon and being in danger of ordering something harder to drink.
And Mary and I had the opportunity to go down to Carter Park, and we filmed that memorial monument that's over there now, and it's still there, Mary. And I thought it was pretty interesting this past week when I had a visit at the Leominster Historical Society. You had found a nice photograph of the woman gathering all around there, and that's going to be all coming in on the timeline, so you might want to be watching for that, Mary.
A fascinating photo of
Yeah.
a group of women with their tambourines.
And I'm sure there's a story behind that too, and the tambourines that we could probably think of. Mary?
Definitely.
Okay.
June 25th, 1915. Harry Hodsden is killed while serving in the British Army. He was the only known Leominster resident to die while serving a foreign power.
Yeah, and that's correct, Mary. And John Piatti, the one I volunteer with, is 92 years old. God bless his soul, but he's a walking encyclopedia. He was one of those that lied about his age, even in the Second World War, to go into the military. And my grandfather did the same thing in the First World War. And many of those soldiers, when the war broke out, they wanted to serve their country that bad, so the young kids went in and served the country. And so I just wanted to thank them again, once again, being how it's Memorial Day weekend, and for your years of service in protecting the great country of ours once again, Mary.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and let's note how many veterans there are in unrecognized conflicts, like this one, for example.
Yeah, that's correct. And once again, I'd like to thank all the soldiers and the armed service veterans, and men and women who served this great country of ours, Mary. Thank you for that. June 28th, 1988. Peter F. Rowdy is appointed Leominster Police Chief. Mary, did you want to add it? Did I say it right?
You said it perfectly, Ron.
Okay.
1988 was interesting that Stephen Perla was the mayor at the time,
Right.
and Dean Mazzarella was a police officer.
And that's correct. And we'd like to thank Dean Mazzarella for his years of service in public service, including Leominster Police Patrolman. And Dean has been the longest acting mayor of Leominster, serving the Commonwealth and the city of Leominster for 25 years running. And he's up for re-election again, Mary.
Congratulations and thank you.
And I've known Dean since I've been this high. I went to school with him in kindergarten, and quite often he references me being this shy little kid, and here I am in front of a camera doing a TV show. So I guess I come a long way too, like Dean has,
All
huh,
the
Mary?
places we can go.
Thank you for that, and thank you, Dean.
June 29th, 1973. The Leominster Enterprise newspaper celebrates 100 years in business. It was first begun by Francis Newton Bootwell, as we said before, in 1873. The Leominster Enterprise was a weekly paper until 1903.
Yeah, and that's correct, Mary. And once again, coming in on the timeline, the video that I was referencing to earlier in the when I was talking about the earlier day, that's coming in on the timeline. It shows how newspapers were printed, and I thought that was pretty interesting from the 1938 clip that happened in Leominster, Mary.
So that's the way papers used to be printed.
That's correct. Now it's all done digitally and electronically. And that brings us to the final date of the month, June 30th, 1879. Nixon's Drugstore opens, Mary.
Well, Nixon's Drugstore was in business for a really, really long time. They were there on the Allen Block for over 80 years on Main Street.
That actually, you had almost the location right, but it was across the street from the Allen Block.
Okay.
It was over there. There was a church there that was torn down back around the 50s or 60s, I believe, but right now it's an open parking lot, and the Fidelity Bank and the Bank of America is there right now today, and that's where that location was. Now I have a couple of photographs coming in on the timeline, and I actually found a photograph of Mr. Charles Nixon in one of our books, the Leominster Illustrated, with a little history about Mr. Nixon, and that's all coming in on the timeline, Mary.
And those are the kinds of things we learn.
Yeah, and so Mary, did you want to close out? And did you want to say anything about coming up in July or anything like that? What do you want to say?
Okay, that was a really great month. We had a lot of adventures this month.
We had a lot of fun.
Yes, we did. We're going to probably end up doing more videos in July.
Right.
Join us for our July show when we'll be talking about some of the events of July, a lot of July 4th events.
That's correct.
There's a tornado that hit Whalum Park and blew down the amusements, the rides and so forth. There's all kinds of things coming up in July.
Yeah, and I just want to tell a viewing audience out there that be surprised when you pop in for the July show. Because Mary and I, we might be here, we might be at the Gallagher Building, at the Leominster Historical Commission office, we might be at Barrett Park, we might even be at the Common, or we could possibly be over there at Carter Park filming. So be watching for these great events, and if you have anything to say about our show, when we post these on social media like Facebook, leave a nice comment and share it, and if you want anything, if you have anything to say about our show that could make it better for us and more enjoyable for you to watch, leave a nice comment about it, and we'll try to accommodate you, Mary. Thank you for that, Mary. So I just wanted to close it out by saying bye, Leominster TV, and thank you very much for letting us use your equipment in filming.
And we'll see you around town.
And have a good month. Bye.